Hi, everyone. It's Harry. Talking about the Calgary real estate market. I waited till today to gather my thoughts and to see at least the initial impacts of the U.S. Trump tariffs. We found out late yesterday afternoon that they were going ahead at 10% for energy and 25% for all other Canadian goods. This will definitely have an impact on the Calgary and quite frankly the Canadian economy, much more so than than the uh, than the Ontario and potentially BC economies. Everyone says we import a lot of energy. It's a significant portion of the Calgary and Alberta market. But the thing is that the U.S. are somewhat on the barrel in the sense that it's not easy to change energy flows, especially when your refineries are tooled for heavier Canadian crude, unless you've been changing the tooling. This comes from my years of working in the oil industry previously. So I think what it means overall is the U.S. are going to get dealt with higher costs for Canadian inputs that hopefully their governments will refund to them. If not, they're just going to pay more, just the way it is. And I'm guessing that the U.S. Federal governments will take all the tariff dollars that they slap on Canadian goods, on Canadian energy, and just distribute it to their other hurting areas in their economy. So at the end of the day, it basically just bumps up. Instead of crude being at that the $70 level, now it's 78. It's just built in. We'll see how that unravels, unless they're going to move crude out of Saudi to the U.S. But the thing is that the Saudi crude is not the same makeup as the Canadian crude for the U.S. refinery, so that's going to be a bit of dislocation. So that's where we're at today. Given if this doesn't get solved really quickly, I've been expounding about this for the last few months, and everyone says I've got this doomsday scenario, but we're gonna see a recession hit Canada if this doesn't get solved within a quarter. It's just gonna happen, and personally, given the way how obstinate the U.S. administration is, the current one, I think it's going to last more than a quarter. So we're going to be in for some hurt. What does that mean to the Calgary real estate market? Even in the worst recessions that we saw in Calgary, pre-COVID, the most of what we've seen in the downdraft in pricing is about 10%. So it's not like Toronto or Vancouver where you see 25% plus drops. I would expect us to see at most 10. I'm banking on 5 right now. That was my initial thought process a month ago, and I haven't changed that. The one thing that I have changed is probably what I thought interest rates would be like. Initially, I thought, given that tariffs are inflationary, the Bank of Canada will likely keep interest rates flat because they're going to try not to get inflation going crazy. But if this recession gets any level of disastrous to the Canadian economy, they might be forced to drop it and go through the process we just went through with COVID, where we dropped it, then we had to ramp it all the way up. So I didn't want to see a repeat of that. But I think that might happen. The other side of it is, what will the banks do? Will that actually cause you a reduction in interest rate? The banks will build it in their fixed products, and they'll say, hey, we're not going to give you that much of a discount. They're not going to end it because they don't think it's going to be a 1 year event. If it's a 1 year event, you don't build that completely into your interest rates. You take the hit. And that's why I'm not so sure we'll get a lot of solace as home buyers or even landlords. So I think I think we will see an interest rate drop or a reduction, but I just don't know how many times, and because we're gonna go into uncharted territory, and we'll have to see how this tariff war impacts jobs, impacts GDP, and everything. So if you're a buyer, as I said earlier, in a solid job, a public sector job, which typically is unaffected by these kind of things, go ahead and buy. You might get stuff at a deal, but the deals will take at least a month to occur in my mind. What I find is the real estate is quick to go up and slow to come down, and we've seen that time and time again. And recently, we've seen the effect. Although with the threat of tariffs, things have flattened. They haven't really dropped that significantly. I think this will start to drop because it's month 2 now, and we're going to head into month 3, and quite frankly, I think there are going to be more rolling Canadian tariffs coming in, and I don't know whether there'll be reciprocal tariffs from the U.S. So it's going to take a couple of quarters. Quite frankly, I think people and the administration down south has to feel the pain before any of this actually unravels. So I think we won't. I know some pundits are saying we'll see relief, but it won't be a second quarter event. But I think we have to get past the second quarter. We'll see. It's right now, I hate to use a gambling analogy, but we're rolling dice, and that's all it is. If you're selling and you're forced to sell, take a good offer now, because I can't guarantee the prices will be better in the next quarters, and you might be having to accept less unless you take it off the market and wait a year. So that's kind of the scenario you're running into. Hopefully this is helpful. As I said, if you're buying, maybe not right away, but within a month's time, I think you've got a wonderful opportunity if you're financially secure. And if I can help you, please reach out. On the sell side, if I can help you do a quick sale, please reach out. Otherwise, my advice is to wait a bit if you can. It's not the best time to sell. But everyone, in the stock market parlance, is never wrong to take profit. And if you're going to sell, then buy afterwards, it's basically a lateral move. So it's not going to hurt you. Otherwise, have a great week. I'm sure things will unravel. I'm optimistic cooler heads will reign, but I think we have to go through some pain before those cooler heads reign.